for their members. Shockingly, Senator Karimi, Kogi West, has openly replied their critics, citing bad roads, durability of imported cars as against Nigerian cars as part of the reasons for opting for Land Cruisers when they are supposed to be at the forefront of the Buy Nigeria campaign to boost our economy. I want to leave the question open-ended. How do you see the whole of this?
my brother, it's quite unfortunate that our leadership selection process is such that it produces, charlatans and, jokers like the gang that we have in the National Assembly. And it's not just starting with them.
Those are very unfair words to use. Mr. Arudo, those are very uncharitable words to use.
I'm sorry about that, or maybe I'm not sorry. It's quite depressing, to hear a full-grown man, someone who would have gone through the four walls of the university, someone who should be a leader of his community and constituency, come up to defend, the obnoxious, squandering of billions, multi-billions, to acquire vehicles for themselves, all right? With such tepid excuses. Excuse me.
That's okay.
Such tepid excuses like bad roads in Nigeria and durability and maintenance cost. How do we have such persons in those places of leadership? Number one, how did we get here that there are bad roads all over the country? What have they done as senators, of this 10th Assembly to declare a state of emergency of construction and reconstruction of roads all over the country, especially in the south-south, and southeast, as well as southwest parts of the country? Because in most parts of the north, the roads are actually quite good or motorable. Okay, so, and then what have they done to declare state of emergency? I am not saying that our dear senators who are on a jamboree in Abuja should not be given vehicles. But we have about 3 or 4 companies that assemble vehicles in Nigeria. Why take in this dire strait that we have found ourselves? Our economy is in such a bad shape that the government and also the National Assembly, led by the Senate President, is saying, pay a little sacrifice. Bear with us, tighten your belts on while. Things are going to get better. And they themselves asking the masses, the people who voted them into power, to tighten their belt. They themselves aren't tightening their belt. Do you know if they put that money, they wouldn't spend half of that, if they were to patronize Innocent Motors, for instance, or any of the other motor companies in Nigeria, to make for them bulletproof SUVs, which I believe Innocent can do, and they've done that before, to provide such vehicles for them. Do you know what it would do to the economy of Nigeria? Do you know how much of that will reduce, how it will go to bring down, the cost of the dollar? But these guys aren't thinking. They don't have Nigeria's interest in mind. They're just after acquiring SUVs, driving in convoys, pushing innocent citizens off the road with their sirens and all of that. They just want to move around in flowing gowns, to show that they've arrived. They are senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. My brother, do you see hope in this country? My words aren't strong enough to describe, those bunch of irresponsible, because it is crass irresponsibility to, as a member of the National Assembly, to vote that kind of money to be paid to the government of Japan. When your economy is industrial, you are borrowing. Now, the NTEF, in the NTEF that was presented, we are saying we want to borrow, 26 trillion to fund the budget of 2024. 26 trillion. You want to borrow that. So you are borrowing to spend on yourself. Whereas, nothing wrong with borrowing when you borrow to invest in critical infrastructure that will engender your economic growth, expand your social service sector for the benefit of borrowing to buy vehicles for your use. Those vehicles require high maintenance costs. What is wrong with our citizens? What's really wrong? Tell me why every time I tell you, I rather like we have benevolent dictatorship. Look at what is happening in Rwanda. Everybody has kicked in line and things are going well. It's a benevolent dictatorship. Look at what is happening in Singapore. Nigeria was a little bit better than Singapore in 1965. Look where Singapore is. It's a benevolent dictatorship. It's become the mission hub of the world, coming up with all kinds of creative, government interventions that has made them the cynosure of all eyes. Nigeria in 1965 was a lot better than South Korea. Today, Nigeria cannot compare with South Korea. As at 1972, the Dubai that everybody runs to now, they came cap in hand, begging Nigeria for a loan. We gave them a dash instead. The state chief executive then, General Gowon, had said we had a problem, and the problem was we had too much money and we didn't know what to do with it. But this is the same country now that our politicians, they all have houses in Dubai. Dubai was an arid region. It took visionary leaders. What is the democracy they have there? It's a monarchy. And look where they are. Do we really need this democracy? Even America that we borrowed this democracy from, their legislators are not as unruly and irresponsible as our legislators are in the country. Because I repeat, it is crass irresponsibility that your people are dying of hunger, even in your constituency, and you're going to acquire 160 million naira worth of vehicle for 490 people in the country. That's really sad.
Actually, for